I wanted to welcome everyone to the CSDA's Component Society conference call. Thank you for taking some time out of your night tonight to join us. I just wanted to go over some preliminary announcements. First, just to make sure everyone remembers, we are recording tonight's meeting, so remember you're being recorded. We have a pretty big agenda, but we're going to try to get through it fairly quickly. We're going to go over CE course feedback, do some legislative updates, talk about speakers for component meetings, the big project to update your bylaws, and volunteer opportunities. Keeping with our standard practice, we'll be muting the phone lines at the start of each presentation. At the end of each presentation, we'll open up the lines for your questions. Please use the mute button on your own phone or computer when you're not speaking to minimize background noise, especially if you're driving around, have kids running around in the background, all that fun stuff. Remember, these conference calls, like I said, are being recorded so that other people can watch them at a later date. So if you have colleagues at your component society, they can't make it tonight, please remind them that they can go ahead and log in later to catch up. As I said a little earlier, to help speed up the introductions, because it was a little chaotic last time, I'm going to read off who I currently have listed, and then I'm going to open up the phone lines and unmute them so that you can tell me if I don't have somebody. I have Dr. McPhail, Dr. Baxter, Dr. D'Alessio, Dr. Freed, Dr. Dobio, Dr. Rubenstein, and I also now see Dr. Gladstein has logged in, and Dr. DeRozier. Is there anyone else I have not listed who is on the call? Let us know now.
Kathy Montague.
Renee Rubenstein.
And anyone else? Okay. In that case, I'm going to mute it again and go to the first item on our presentation.
Well, I guess that's me. Hi, everyone. This is Carol Dingleday, the Executive Director. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules to participate in this conference call. We've gotten some pretty positive feedback on the use of and the helpfulness of these conference calls. So I'm glad that you continue to take advantage of the information that we're providing to you on a quarterly basis. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about our CSDA Continuing Education Package Program. As those of you who participate in the program know that our package program is arguably one of the best continuing education opportunities that's offered by a state dental society. We find it very difficult to even find a comparable program from dental societies similar in size to the CSDA. So we have a really great program. We have, however, experienced a trend over the past several years, maybe past 2 or 3 years significantly, with trending with a decreased number of members who participate in the program. We were concerned about this and when we first started seeing this trend. And back in 2014, we conducted an all-member survey specifically focusing on the CE education programs that we had, both the package program and our annual meeting program. The Continuing Education Council is taking this information very seriously and want to continue investigating some of the reasons for the downward trends that we're experiencing so that we can identify possible solutions that would be helpful in bringing our membership back into participating in our CE programs. It's certainly, as you all know, continuing education is a very competitive field, and you can get CE all over the place any time of day in a variety of formats. And so we are competing with a lot of other opportunities out there. But we do want to take a look at what's happening within our own membership and see if maybe we can stem the tide here. So what we'd like to do is ask for your help at the component society level to collect information on what your members are feeling about the continuing education package program in particular. This is the program that takes place at the AquaTurf. Most specifically, that's where we're looking for. So we're asking for your help to collect some information, and there are a number of questions that it would be helpful if you could take maybe 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes out of your next component society to ask your members about the package program. The first one would be, how many members currently attend the package program? Just take a hand vote or a hand number of how many members currently attend the package program. And let me pause for a second and let you know that the questions that I'm going to run through right now are going to be available to you on a form on the Component Society portal that we have on our website. So you can go in there and just print it off, so you don't have to take copious notes, especially if you're driving in between appointments tonight. So this information will be available on the portal and you can download it from there. So the first question, how many members currently attend the package program? That would be helpful for us to know. From there, how many people in the room had previously subscribed to the package program, but in the past few years decided not to? They've opted out of it for whatever reason. And if they have, for those folks who have not participated in the past few years, just to ask a few more questions to probe a little deeper into why that might be happening. Why have the members stopped attending recently? Is it an issue of convenience, the location of the programs, the day of the week, the time of day, those kinds of things? Maybe the content of the programs isn't interesting or relevant to them. The cost of the programs, maybe the quality of the programs or speakers doesn't meet their expectations. Or maybe there's something completely different that we haven't seen. But this would be really helpful to gather this information from your membership. And beyond that, as I said, CE is a very competitive business. Where do they currently receive their continuing education? We know that folks have only so much time and so much money to spend on continuing education. Our trends are showing that they're not spending all of that time and money with the CSDA as they used to. So we'd like to know really currently where they do receive their CE, and that will be a very broad, you'll get a whole variety of responses to that question. And then, the big golden nugget, what would make the CSDA package program more attractive? What could we do to bring people back who maybe have opted out for the past few years? Is there a certain kind of programming? Are there certain topics? Are there, we always hear that the chairs at the AquaTurf are uncomfortable. I'm not going to buy chairs for the AquaTurf, but if there's something else that we could do that is within our control to really try to bolster participation in the CE package program, we'd love to hear that. So if in the next couple of months at your next Component Society meeting, you gather that information, I would really appreciate it if you could send that feedback back to me. As I mentioned, we will have the template with the questions on the package program will be available on the Component Society portal. Jesse will also attach it to the survey that you will receive shortly following this presentation. So it'll be attached to that as well so that you can give us your feedback that way. So my contact information is listed here. You could either scan and send the responses to me. My email address is there. You can also fax it to me if you'd like. Or if you happen to be in the office or we run into each other at some point, feel free to give it to me in person. That would be really helpful. So on behalf of the Continuing Education Council, I thank you for your efforts in trying to help us with gathering some of that information and helping guide our solutions into the future. And at this point, we'll entertain any questions that you might have on the topic. So, Jesse's opened up the microphone, so if anybody has a question, I'm happy to help. It's not my phone.
Going once, going twice.
All right. We'll have an opportunity for you to ask any other questions at other points throughout the presentation as well.
Now bear with me for a second, because the next part is going to be a little tricky, as this is the first time we've had a presenter who wasn't at the CSDA building. But Christine, I believe your mic is now live.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So the CSDA has used a number of different legislative alert tools over the years, mostly through email. And tonight I'm going to share with you the CSDA's new phone to action legislative text alert service. This service will make contacting your legislators quick and easy. And we hope that most of our members will sign up for this new text alert service. And I'm going to go through tonight and show you how easy it is to sign up for this alert. So if everyone would like to get out their smartphone, and I'll give you a moment to do that. So you would open your text app, and in the to box, you enter 52886. And in the message box, you enter CSDA. And when you do that, you will receive a text message that will contain a link. So here's the message you'll receive when you text CSDA to 52886. It says, thank you for becoming a dental advocate. And there's the link. So you would click on that link. And then this screen will appear, and you can fill out your name, your address, your zip code, and your email, and hit submit. When you click on the show more information, it goes to this bigger screen here, which sort of explains the legislative text alert. And as I said, you fill out your name, your address, your phone, your email. And what we're going to try to do this year, we will still have email action alerts available to people who don't sign up for the text alerts. However, if you do sign up for this text alert service, we won't be sending out emails, so you won't get numerous action alerts. And so once you sign up for the text alert, this will be your way to respond to any action alerts that I'll be sending out. Are there any questions? Did anyone try it out on their phone now?
Everyone's microphones are live if you want to give any feedback or have any questions.
Did anybody try it?
Yep. Signed in.
Pretty cool.
Okay, good, because I'll be able to see who signed up.
What was the number again? I was driving.
Oh, sure. The number is 52886.
Okay.
And we will be sending a postcard out to all of our members with this information. It'll be going out in the mail probably the first week in January, just in time for the legislative session to start. So you'll have an opportunity to see this information again. But of course, if you have any other questions in the meantime, you can give me a call or email me.
If there are no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and put the phones back on mute.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Someone was saying something. I cut him off.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't. Yeah, so I basically took a screenshot of the all that. I can maybe hand it out at the next component meeting to try to get all of our members to sign up.
Oh, yes, that would be great if you could do that.
Okay, yeah,
That'd
would you
be
mind
great.
going back one screen and let me do it? Let me just do one more screenshot of it. Perfect. I'm going to do that right there. Excellent. Okay, and then I can do that at the next meeting. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else?
Good.
So selecting the speaker and topic for your membership meetings is probably the most visible decision you're going to make as a component society officer. The average member won't see most of the work you do, but they'll notice the topics and speakers you schedule for your meetings. So we wanted to do a little presentation and talk about some resources we have available for you to make your life easier. Over the last few years, we've been working to ease the burden on local officers by compiling a list of potential speakers for your component societies. Our list currently has 31 dentists, professors, and other subject matter experts. They cover a wide range of topics, including implants, malpractice, managing your student debt, practice transitions, radiology. I also know from a lot of the conversations I've had with your peers that continuing education credit, especially mandatory continuing education credit, is a big draw. So if you look at this list, you will see access to care, cultural competency, domestic violence, HIPAA compliance, infection control, things that may be big attractions for your members. I also want to say that this is a way you can pay it forward too. If you find your own speaker, and that's always great, and they do a great job at your society meeting, please let us know and we can add the list and you can help your colleagues in the future who face some of the problems you do in trying to recruit speakers for meetings. In addition to our Speakers Bureau list, we also wanted to emphasize that CSDA volunteers and staff are available to speak at your local dental society meetings. I know many societies like to schedule a presentation by one of our state officers to receive an update from the CSTA or to talk about new initiatives. And if you're interested in doing that, please contact Carol Dingleday, the CSTA Executive Director, and she will work with our officers to find someone who can go to the meeting at the time and date you're going to hold it. We also wanted to emphasize that our councils and committees can send speakers to do presentations at your meetings. One thing we're recommending strongly right now is for component societies to bring in Dr. Jack Mooney from the Council on Legislation and the Access to Care Committee to talk about mid-level providers and some of the legislative issues we're seeing. So please keep us in mind if you want your members to receive any updates on ADA and CSDA activities. We don't even have to be the main event. I've spoken at a lot of society meetings where I was just a brief 10-minute intro or warm-up.
Interruption.
Yeah. I also wanted to say that sometimes people have special needs where there's a specific speaker they're looking or a specific topic they want, but they don't know what speaker to get. A few weeks ago, Pam Nixon on my staff helped the Bridgeport Dental Association find an expert on vaping who will be speaking at their meeting in February. Earlier this year, Pam and Karen also helped find a speaker on mental health conditions common to veterans, which is a mandatory CE topic for dentists that we provided to 2 component societies. So please feel free to also reach out to us if you know the topic, but you're having problems finding a speaker who can cover it. And now I'm going to open up the phone lines, and you can ask any questions you have on component meetings.
Where in the website is that Speakers Bureau list?
Oh, I'm going to let you in on a secret. We had to take it off the website because someone was Googling one of our speakers, and it wasn't a dentist who did it, but they were just generally Googling one of our speakers and found a search result that pulled up the CSDA Speakers Bureau list and then used it to contact that speaker using the home number we had listed there, where she takes speaking opportunities. And so we had to pull it off the website, but if you give us a call, we will email it to you. We just don't want people who are doing general Google searches to find it and use it. It's really just a resource for our members.
What do you think about just emailing it out to the officers?
Well, and Carol just mentioned to me one of the things we might be able to do is to put it back on the portal, so I can do that.
Right. The Component Society portal, which is on our website, is password protected and allows the officers of the component societies access. So it's not broad, it's not open to a wide number of members, but it certainly would be open to all of you on this call. So that might be a good, safe place to put that for now. Maybe we'll go ahead and look into doing that. If it does become an issue, we'll have to come up with a different solution. But for now, I think that will at least make it a little bit more accessible for you.
If I don't remember if I don't remember a login and password for the portal, how could I find it out?
It's your ADA login and password, so it's the same one you use for our website. But if you forget that, it's okay. It's sort of like, it works like a lot of other websites. The login page right above the login field has forgot your password links, and so you can
password. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions?
All right.
And now I'm going to try not to put everyone asleep by talking about bylaws. I apologize in advance.
Too late.
One of the fundamental principles of the tripartite association model is that local chapters must have bylaws that are consistent with their state and national organizations. For those following at home, you can actually see the references to the ADA and CSDA bylaws if you're watching the video stream that have that requirement. This is sort of necessary to make sure that we all operate on the same page and follow the same organizational principles. You can't have associations that have different definitions of membership or give different responsibility for who can be disciplined and how they can be thrown out of the organization. We all have to be on the same page for that stuff. This was easy for your society originally to comply with. When your founders were applying for the charter and getting it from the ADA and the CSTA, you just took our bylaws at the time and you pretty much copied them. And that worked very well. But as time went on, it was very difficult to keep up with all the changes that occurred to the ADA and CSTA bylaws. And if you ever serve in our CSTA House of Delegates, you will know that we do more than a few bylaws revisions over time. When we did a recent review this summer, we discovered that only 8 local societies have revised their bylaws since 2000. Again, for those watching at home, the screen has a breakdown of how many societies revised their bylaws in which decade. For those listening to the audio feed, just know that one society last updated their bylaws in 1968, and they are not alone because 3 societies revised them in the 70s. These numbers may actually be far worse, but we can't be certain because 1/3 of our component societies don't have any revision date listed in their bylaws. But since some of them appear to have been obviously typewritten on a typewriter, we're fairly confident they're old. After discussing this issue, the CSDA House of Delegates approved a minimum standard component society resolution. You see the relevant issue here on bylaws, though it contained a couple other things, where they specifically adopted a requirement that all of our societies update their bylaws at least every 5 years. This is obviously going to be a significant challenge because of how old some of those bylaws are. So our Council on Constitutional and Bylaws has been working to try to make your life easier. 6 members of the committee were each tasked with reviewing the bylaws of 3 or 4 societies. They broke up all of our societies, divided the work, and tackled it. In October, they submitted some drafts to their fellow members to look at, and last month they met, reviewed all of their work, and have given me a large amount of documents to finalize. I'm hoping, I'm a little busy right now, but I'm hoping to get the council those final drafts by mid-January, and we're hoping to get the drafts in your hands by February 1st. Dr. Duchan, who's the chair of that council, has 2 goals. First, to give you guys a series of resolutions to incorporate the minimum component society standards into your bylaws. And second, a more detailed memo from CSDA staff that identifies all the other potential changes you may need. So what's next once we get that in your hands? You're going to have 2 options. If you love what we wrote and you think it's the best thing ever, you can take it straight to your membership and approve it. We would recommend you do that before March or April so that you can have your bylaws in compliance by the next House of Delegates meeting, and we can put you on the interim report as being fully compliant. However, we also recognize that some people like to wordsmith these documents. And if you or your members want to do that, you can also form a local bylaws committee, in which case you're probably going to need some time to review and work on this stuff. Our recommendation there is that you get them appointed in February or March so that they're ready to take the stuff from the state council. And then you spend the next year, 2019, working on that document and getting something to your membership in very early 2020 so that they can review it, approve it, and we can tell the House of Delegates in the final report that's going in May 2020 that you are fully compliant. One word of advice, or a couple words of advice, on you approving these changes. Remember that there are certain requirements to revising your bylaws, even when the ADA and CSDA are telling you you have to do it. One, you have to notify your membership that this vote is taking place, the time, the date. That notice requirement may be longer than the 5 days that we recommend in Component Society standards. Check your bylaws to see what they say about amendments. Two, you have to provide your members with a copy of these revisions in advance. And if you saw the CSDA go through our revision process, you know how many pages these revisions can be. So you should mail out a link or an electronic document with your notice so that they're not seeing it for the first time at your meeting. And finally, you have to have a quorum for any meeting where you're doing a business item like this, and it's especially important on bylaw revisions. The default quorum is 50% of your members. However, your bylaws may set a lower number, because most bylaws do. Certainly the CSDA bylaws do, because it's hard to get 50% of your members at a meeting. So check your bylaws to see what they say. When I send you that material in February, I will double check your bylaws and let you know what the quorum number is. Now, if anyone is still awake after that bylaws discussion, if you give me about 10 seconds, I will have you all unmuted. Oh, your phone lines are active. Are you awake? I'm worried.
What are we thinking the number might be for the quorum? Like,
yeah. Usually they set some kind of target amount based on your overall membership. So as an example, some societies might say you have to have 15 members present because they had 50. The CSDA bylaws, I think, require in the House, I think it's like 25% of the component societies.
Right.
And I think is it 25% of the member? I think it's 25% of the House and 25% of the component societies. But it varies by bylaws, so take a look. And if you need a copy of your bylaws, I have everyone's but Milford's, and I will be happy to email them to you if you shoot me an email.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Are we allowed to have dead people vote and to vote multiple times, just like in general elections?
Not advisable.
As we mentioned earlier, this video presentation is being recorded. That was a joke.
So for the record, it's not advisable.
I might advise you offering open bar that night to make sure people go, but that might be as far as I go on that. Any other questions? In that case, I'm going to thank you in advance for all the work you're going to have to do on that, and we will we'll mute the lines and go to our next topic. I feel weird saying this as a staff person, but I really do want to emphasize it. We're a member-driven organization, and we rely on our volunteers to guide our association. And this is really one of the areas where we're going to prove it, because we need your help. Your component societies elect our delegates and alternates who serve in the House. The district caucuses elect the representatives on the board, and the House of Delegates elect the officers. However, we need over 100 volunteers to serve on our councils and committees. You'll see a full list of our councils on the screen if you're following the video stream. They help us do everything from identifying speakers for the continuing education courses Carol talked about to drafting our strategic plan. Earlier this month, we kicked off our 2019 volunteer recruitment campaign by including a buck slip with the dues invoice that were mailed to our members. I know Dr. Montague's on the line, and so if she's watching, she'll see that we put her picture up because it's on one of the buck slips.
She's a star.
And she's a rock star, especially for agreeing to give us the quote and being a model for this. We're making similar announcements on the magazine and the website and the e-newsletter, but we also want you to go to your component society meeting and encourage your volunteers to participate. On the CSDA Component Society portal right now, I've actually posted some talking points. You can literally download. It has bullet points. You don't have to go word for word. But if you need help knowing what to say, I wrote some stuff up for you already that should only take 5 minutes or less to go over. The one thing we're doing is we're encouraging new volunteers because we know they're not familiar with our governance. They're not going to be able to name all of our committees and councils. So I put a little screenshot up of the survey we do for new volunteers. We sort of broke out the activities of our councils and committees, and it's rather than saying, do you want to join the Council on Education, it says something like, are you interested in helping us find speakers, or are you interested in talking to legislators about pending legislation? You want to help patients and dentists resolve disputes? The answers that our volunteers give is used by us to match them to the council or committee that is the best fit for them. However, we also know some people like to do a little more research before they agree to volunteer. And so if you're new volunteers say, well, I want to know what I'm getting into, on our website, under member resources, there is a councils, committees, and task force menu item. If you direct them there, and there's a screenshot on the screen for those people interested, we have the charge for every council and committee. Each council and committee has a job description for their volunteers that you can download from there. And it has the contact information for the staff liaison for that council. So if they have follow-up questions and you're not familiar with that council, you can recommend they go there, get the staff liaison's name, and contact that staff liaison to find out more about what time commitment is, what kind of expectations we have for volunteers, those kind of things. We also do a separate survey for our existing volunteers that is done in March to see if they're interested in returning, and many of them do. We gather the data from both of those surveys. We download it in March. We provide it to the Board of Governors. They use it for council appointments in March, and then we give them a new version in June that shows it for committee members, because committee members are appointed at that time. Now I'm going to turn it over to Christina so she can talk about another volunteer opportunity we have at the CSTA.
The election results significantly changed the legislative landscape. There was a blue wave in Connecticut in November, and there are now 92 Democrats to 59 Republicans in the House, and 23 Democrats to 13 Republicans in the Senate. And this translated to 40 new legislators, 30 House members, and 10 senators. And this has increased our need for volunteers. We are looking for 78 key contacts in the House and 12 key contacts in the Senate. The Council on Legislation members will be reaching out to you with specific legislators in your district, and hopefully talk to you in your component societies to get people to sign up as key contacts. There's not really a lot that entails being a key contact. It's really just establishing a relationship with your legislator, educating them on dental issues, letting them know that if they have any questions regarding oral health care or dentistry, that you're there to help them, attending a dental day at the Capitol, responding to action alerts, and also to reaching out to your legislator directly if there is a bill that the CSDA is trying to pass or kill. So as I said, if I know the Council on Legislation members will be talking to all of the component societies, but if anyone would like to contact me directly regarding being a key contact program or getting some information regarding the specific legislators that I need in your district, please reach out to me directly. Does anyone have any questions?
Give me a second, I'll unmute everybody.
Okay.
Everybody's live.
We're good. Carol had one more thing she was going to cover.
All right. right, so I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the guest board member. That is a position, more of an informational, observational position of the Board of Governors. We've talked about this on past conference calls. You may recall some of this, and I know that Dr. DeLesio Mata is on the phone or on the web webinar tonight, and she actually currently serves as the district representative from District 3 and started her esteemed career on the Board of Governors as the guest board member. It's really very helpful to the Board of Governors to have the insight and perspective of a guest board member, someone who might be interested in trying out learning more about what the Board of Governors and what leadership and governance at the CSDA is all about. So this position was put into place a few years ago. Again, Dr. DeLesio Mata was our first one. Last year, Dr. Richard Riddle from Southington sat on the board and had some wonderful perspective and insight for our board members. Currently this year, we didn't have, no one has identified an interest in it this year. So I just want to remind folks that this is a position that the Board of Governors really values. And if there's somebody in your component society that you would like to nominate for this, please let us know. The eligibility requirements are that this individual needs to be nominated by the component society. So you as component society leaders may have some thoughts in your head about folks who might be interested and or helpful to the Board of Governors in this role. Perhaps some of you on this call would be a good match for this. The individual does need to be an active, retired, or life member in good standing of the CSDA and have no prior board experience on the CSDA Board of Governors. They could certainly serve on the board of a component society. And as with all leadership appointments for the CSDA, the individual is not able to be serving as a dental insurance consultant, a consultant within a dental insurance agency. That's something within our bylaws. So the term of the guest board member is 1 year, and it coincides with our board terms, which is June through May every year. This year, again, we do have a current opening. It would certainly be a truncated term, but if there's anybody who's interested in sticking their toe in the water, please let me know. Nominations from the component society and nominations for this individual should be received by December 31st, as with the other elected positions that have been posted. You may have seen some of that information in eCommunicators, and I think it's coming out again tomorrow in tomorrow's eCommunicator. This person is nominated by the component societies and selected by the Board of Governors. It's not necessarily an elected position. So if you do have interest in the position, you want to know a little bit more about it, feel free to reach out to me or to Jesse. We'll be happy to walk you through some of the requirements. And I'm sure that Mimi would be more than happy to talk to anybody. I'm putting her on the spot, but she's willing to talk to anybody about anything. And I'm sure she'd be more than happy to talk to anybody who was interested to find a little bit more out about her experience and how it worked out for her, and tips and insight and all that good kind of stuff. So that's what I have to say about the guest board member. Please just keep that in mind when you're thinking about volunteer opportunities. This might be a really good match for some of you on the phone right now who may be interested in getting more involved in leadership.
Anyone, we've unmuted everyone's phones. If you have any questions about this or anything else, let us know.
This is where Mimi can say she's happy to talk to anybody.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, exactly. As Carol said, I'm happy to talk to anybody, anytime. I think guest board member is a good chance to kind of see behind the scenes and see if you want to get involved. It's a good little window to get your foot in the door and get to see what's going on. So I highly recommend it. Anyone else?
Any questions? All right. Very good. Moving right along. Wow, there you go. That was quick.
I wanted to thank everyone for, again, taking time out of their night tonight. As we mentioned, there's some resources on the CSDA's website or our Component Society portal that you can access, and we'll be putting up the CE feedback questions, the announcement for helping us recruit volunteers. If you need other things, let us know, because part of our job is to make your jobs easier.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. If you do, we do have the phone lines open. So if you have any last questions, any questions, any comments?
Actually, I have one quick question, just for ha-has. When was Manchester Constitution Bylaws revised? Just curious.
I can promise you it's not.
I'm calling my own group out, but I don't have anything in front of me. But I just wanted to kind of see what kind of work I have ahead of me.
I can honestly say that I remember who's the oldest, but it's not you. But I do not remember decision dates for all of them. But
I think it's typewritten. I think ours are typewritten, honestly.
you would not be alone.
Yeah. Okay.
So
we can certainly get that information to you if you're interested, though, Kathy.
Yeah, I'll email you.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thanks everyone. Appreciate it. Again, this will be recorded and on the website. So if any of your colleagues in your component societies weren't able to make the call tonight, just let them know that we'll upload it and they can relive this history on their own. So thanks so much for being with us, and we'll see you next time.